Hello, it is Lisa Moore, curator of Inspiring Talks Brighton, or I should say, our Inspiring Talks Stories. Episodes that we're now recording and putting up on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook page. So I have got a very special guest here today, and I'm very excited and grateful for him to be here. So Lincoln Bryden, who is international fitness presenter, master trainer, cricketer, which is very important.
Very important.
And I have to say, all round good guy. I met Lincoln, I don't know how many years ago now, but he's definitely one of the good guys. And we're going to talk a little bit today about fitness and how we both got into the fitness world and why we got into the fitness world and the challenges that we faced. Because Inspiring Talks Brighton is all about bringing wisdom, bringing inspiration, talking about how people overcome adversity, and hopefully you will go away with a smile on your face, a light in your heart, and a head full of inspiration. So, Links, I'm going
Hello.
to ask you, how did you and how long have you been working in fitness?
Hi. Well, thank you for inviting me on here because I know you are a lady in demand. So hopefully this is going to be worthwhile for you. So I got into the industry. I think this is my 32nd year in the fitness industry. Yes, that's the reason why I've got no hair. So it hides all the grey hairs. And I got into the industry as such while I was at college doing my degree. And cut a very long story short, it was in the time where you either got a full grant to do your degree or your parents had to contribute. And the powers that be decided that my parents had to contribute to my fees, which is crazy if you didn't know how much they were earning. And in the first term of me being at Cheltenham, my dad unfortunately had to have a triple heart bypass.
Oh, wow.
So that was a bit of a dent into income, disrupting the family, etc.
Yeah.
So I had to look for a job, and I was filling in forms to stack shelves in Sainsbury's. And as I was doing so, one of the girls, Lisa Price is her name, so it's her that we all need to thank. Those of you that maybe have liked my fitness sessions in the past, she was working in a gym, and she said, how do you fancy working in the gym? In Shape Health Studios it was called. And I thought, yeah, you know what, I've been training because when I was playing cricket, we had to sort of stay reasonably fit for that. So I kind of knew my way around the gym. And she said, right, I'll get you an interview. Okay, fine, no problem. So I remember sitting in the interview, and the lady was saying, okay, yes, you will be designing programs, but one of the large parts of this is you're going to have to teach classes. How do you feel about that? I'd never been to an aerobics class before in my life, but I thought, it's got music. I'd like to think I've got rhythm.
Yeah.
It can't be that hard. So I went, yeah, no problem, not a problem at all. Saying, right, yeah, great, you got the job. And I had a 2 week. So this shows how long ago it was. I had a 2 week intensive training in Oxford. And it wasn't just exercise to music, it was everything. So it was a 2 week intensive about the gym, how to design programs, how to do a range of fitness assessments, how to teach aerobics in terms of high impact. I mean, it was a proper high impact body conditioning. Flex and stretch was the name of it. So yeah, it was a 2 week crash course, literally. And I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take the bus from Cheltenham to Oxford, did a full day of training, and then come back. And then I was let loose after 2 weeks. And that was literally my introduction into the fitness industry. And so while I was doing my degree, I was working in this gym, really learning the tools of the trade. And it was in fact, now I'd say probably one of the better gym stroke clubs I've been in, because of the processes and the systems they had in place in terms of being we had to do daily motivations, for example, on our shift, where we had to go. Yeah, in the days before cardio theatres, our task was, right, Lincoln, you're doing a 6-hour shift. You need to speak to 5 members, go up and get their cards, ask them how their program's going, go round with them, check on their technique, etc., etc. And that was brilliant. As I say, it was in the days before cardio theatres where people had headphones, etc. And it was an excellent way to get to know members, but also B, to really ply your trade, I think, and that's what I think is missing at the moment. Is it's the ability to ply your trade, speak to people from a wide variety of backgrounds. And that was invaluable for me. So that's kind of how I got into the industry. And then I suppose in Cheltenham, I got known for teaching group exercise. I actually hated teaching group exercise to start off with. I had a class at Cheltenham Recreation Centre, and we started off with 6 people in a sports hall. So you can imagine a sports hall that was the size of a basketball court.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, and I had six
people.
people.
Yeah.
6 people with a head mic and a stage. So you can imagine it was pretty lonely. And I can remember walking from my flat student digs to the recreation centres on Monday evenings. It was at 7 o'clock, just dreading it because I didn't know what to do. Because the 2-week intensive at InShape literally only taught how to progress from a squat to a bend and touch to a bend and reach to a bend and across to a hopscotch, but it was nowhere near sufficient to actually deliver sessions on mass. So it's only when I started going to fitness events that I learned, how to put choreography together, how to put routine together, and I slowly was able to grow that session from 6 people to over 140 in about in the good old days. And then I'm not going to do the whole boring spiel, but then that kind of grew to me delivering sort of local master classes, and I was delivering it in different parts of the country. But what I would say in terms of delivering other sessions was that I actually picked up the Yellow Pages because I wanted to get into the presenting thing, and I phoned every single gym and health club in Gloucestershire, Oxfordshire and Avon, offering my service to deliver sort of master classes, so again to gain experience. And then from there, I actually got offered other work on top of that. So how many people these days, how many fit pros these days would be willing to do that? So
Well, I don't think they'd be bold enough to do that either. And it's interesting how you talk, because so you got into the fitness industry in quite a sort of structured way.
Yeah.
I got into the fitness industry because I fancied somebody. So I started going to the gym because we had a lodger that I liked, and he used to take the mickey out of me because I was not very fit. And he was a basketball player. And he used to go, oh, you can't do this, you can't do it. So I thought, well, I'll show you. Joined the gym, got hooked, met another guy who said, oh, I need somebody to help me teach at the gym. Do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I went up to Bolton, of all places, to the National Amateur Bodybuilding Association.
Nice.
And I did my course with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most scary thing, walking into a gym like that. You can imagine, full of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
It was a real spit and sawdust, proper sweat palace, and did my training. So, yes, it's really interesting, isn't it? How you start.
Definitely.
What's I know that I struggled a bit with confidence throughout my fitness journey, throughout my sort of presenting journey. I mean, I never did like you did 140 and more people. So confidence was a thing for me, and comparing myself to others. But what has been the biggest challenge for you in this industry?
I think, definitely confidence, body image. Definitely, I suppose when you decide to put yourself on stage in front of people, there's a certain perception that the instructor needs to look a certain way. And in terms of my background, I have weight issues when I was younger.
Yeah.
So we talked very briefly about cricket. So my very first cricket trial was for Surrey. And they said, I think you're a brilliant cricketer, but you're too fat. There's no way
They actually said that to you?
Yeah. There was no sort of fat shaming. They just came out and said it. So that's actually what started me training.
Yeah.
So I've always had that from when I was younger. And so going into presenting, I always felt that there was this pressure to both externally and internally to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And again, me being me, my way of trying to bypass that actually worked in my favor, because I thought, right, okay, well, if I can't look the chiseled mesomorphic type person.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that I'm, the best choreographer, or I've got the best teaching skills. My personality came through in my teaching, so I kind of worked on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
funnily enough, in my first job at InShape, I was sacked almost 3 times because the managing director at the time, and I am going to name and shame Mike Howes, he thought I was too shy and didn't fit the ethos of InShape. And luckily enough, and I'm going to name this other person, Colin Deans, he actually convinced this Mike that no, Lincoln's not your in-your-face person, but the way that he speaks one-on-one with people is unmatched with anyone else in our gym. So you really should keep him on.
Yeah.
So
That's the most important thing, isn't it?
yep.
Is being able to relate to the people that you're teaching. I mean, I've seen personal trainers, and I hate to say it, most of them are young lads, and they're more interested in strutting their stuff in front of the mirror. They're not interested in having that conversation with who
Nope.
they're teaching and understanding about their lifestyle, their lives, their challenges, what's going on in their heads. So yeah, you've got some great skills there.
Yeah, and that was in a way to overcome or to cover up the other sort of not imperfections, but sort of confidence issues that I had. So I had to kind of overcompensate and try to make it work for me. So that's kind of the biggest challenge that I had, overcoming traditional stereotypes as well. There was one fitness convention organizer that shall remain nameless, who said if I wanted to be successful in the industry, 5 minutes before at the end of each masterclass, I needed to take my top off and to gyrate around the stage, because that's what my type of presenter was known for. And I thought, yeah, that's not going to be me.
No.
That's not going to be me. So overcoming sort of traditional stereotypes, my own sort of body sort of issues, as if you want to call it that, those are kind of like the biggest challenges that I faced.
And do you now have this? Do you still have those issues, or do you think you've overcome them?
I don't think you ever truly overcome them. I think you become more accepting of them. And I think that the importance that you place on them changes. So when I was presenting a lot more in Europe, and there was very much a focus on how you looked, that's probably where my issues or challenges were more pronounced. In the UK, I'd like to feel that people knew me, personality, my teaching skills, and they appreciated that side of me. Now that I've got back into sport, I think my own willingness to want to perform the best I can be, that's provided a different focus for my exercise, nutrition, and training, so that I'm sort of maximizing that rather than the aesthetic look, when I was sort of 20 years younger. So yeah, you learn to handle it, you learn to be more accepting of it, and you try to control it rather than it control you.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I think it took me a long time to recognize the constant worrying about what other people thought of me, or the constant comparison to other people. I mean, I know when I first started the fitness, my Fit for More business, I would look at all of the other local personal trainers out there, and I'd look at their marketing and look at their, if they've got something in the local paper, and it would just make me want to sort of hide back down again. I'd planned this fantastic launch or whatever I was going to do, and then I'd see something else and go, oh, they're so much better at it than I am, and I would hide. But I guess the lesson that I've learned is you just have to be yourself, don't you? You have to be your own unique self, and you will create that tribe of people that resonate with you.
Yep, 100%, 100%. And it takes a while. It does take a while. And I think that it's something that is always evolving. And the more that we develop ourselves, the more that our perception of ourselves changes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I've always admired about you is that you're always doing different things. There's always different things, and you're always trying to bring the best possible things for people, because now I've got to get this right, because you work at college and you teach new fitness professionals.
That's right. Yeah.
But you've also got your own business, doing other things. So give us a little bit of a brief about the two sides of links.
So the two sides of
Or
links.
the two
So
links.
the two links. I see what you did there. So years ago, I was self-employed, teaching classes, personal training, had my Ciroc Modern Jive business and presenting internationally. Then I went skiing, fell over, dislocated my shoulder. So I was out for 3 months, and it was those days where when you dislocated, you had to keep your arm immobilized for 21 days. I actually presented at a convention teaching step with my arm in a sling. So I had to try and clap like that because there wasn't any income protection, but it wasn't as elaborate as it is today.
Yeah.
And that made me think, okay, yeah, it's brilliant traveling around the world and earning what I was earning, but if something like this happens, then I'm stuffed. And that's when I kind of thought, right, well, let's try another area of working, which was being employed. And so I started my teaching qualifications, and so I teach sport and exercise science in a college, which is nice. It's quite nice teaching teenagers that really don't care what your background is. They just, they're very honest. I like that honest feedback, and I've got a similar background to a lot of the students that I teach as well. But I don't like having all of my fingers in one pie, so I still kept my self-employed status, and realized as I was doing this that education and training is a passion of mine. So I've still got an element of my business where I train people to become personal trainers, and I put different modules and different workshops together to try and make sure that the people that come through my training are ready and prepared for the world of employment. And it's funny what you're saying about me wanting to bring in new things and new skills, because again, that was another method of overcompensating for my inner challenges about my own, whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's my sort of body image thoughts. So I always felt I had to be the one that brought something different or new to the fitness industry and be known for that. So it's quite interesting how all these things kind of mesh together.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's really interesting how you say that, because you probably didn't even recognize that until a certain point, and you went, that's why.
Yep.
But I met you because of something that you brought to the UK, Metabolic Effect. That was where I very first met you. And I'd read all these emails about rest-based training and losing weight while you rest. And I was thinking, nah, it's not possible. But I now know Metabolic Effect is fantastic, really great training program. But what do you think now, where we are with the global pandemic and everything that else is going on in the world? Health is so important right now, isn't it?
Yep.
What do you think is sort of the biggest, most important part of health that we, well, as trainers we need to know about, but also as individuals we need to think about?
I think from a training point of view, and this is the thing that I'm passionate about at the moment, is that trainers need to think of themselves as people that deliver transformation. So they're not just trainers that teach ad hoc sessions, whether you're a personal trainer or a group exercise instructor. We are in the process of delivering transformation. So whether you're a coach, whether you're a lifestyle coach, whether you're a wellness coach, you can't just sit and speak to someone in an isolation or in an isolatory fashion. It has to be part of a whole holistic model. So people know, all right, I'm going to start at this point, but by the end of my time with you, I'm going to end up here. And as a trainer, you should feel confident enough to be able to express that and design a program or a service that facilitates that. And it's more than the aesthetics. And I know that's the biggest challenge that us as fitness professionals have. It's to translate that message that it is more than just how you look or what filter you use to upload a picture on social media. It is about the holistic nature of health and wellness, and the importance of moving, the importance of doing something that you enjoy, and the importance of actually enjoying life. I think the pandemic has highlighted a lot of aspects that has made people look internally about how they handle being in solitude not being able to go out, to be restricted. How do you handle that time? And one of the biggest challenges that people have had, it's actually made them think about stuff rather than occupy their time being busy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's forced people to be still. It's forced people to be introspective. And for me, that I loved it.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position where I was lucky because of college that I was still working from home and getting paid. So, I didn't have that kind of challenge to deal with. But I love the time of being in solitude, working on myself, and seeing that as just as important as the physical aspects of health, because we all know that physical fitness is only one part of total fitness. There are other aspects that are just as important, and we need to try and look at things from a more holistic manner.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100%. And in the world that I'm still working in, fitness to a degree, I'm still teaching some form of fitness, but doing a lot more mindset and lifestyle type coaching. And I'm coming across people now that, maybe they've been employed in the same job for 25 years and they're suddenly going, do you know what? This doesn't not suit what I want to be.
Yep.
This isn't who I want to be anymore. And they're having the courage to actually say, I need to change this. I need to look at different aspects of my life. And I think it is really important as fitness professionals to be able to help people with their emotional health, their mental health,
Yep.
their spiritual health, and their physical health as well.
Yep, very much so.
But I'm going to ask you a question, actually, because I think one thing that I found being in fitness is that sometimes the general public don't value what a fitness professional can bring, because they just see that body stuff.
Yep.
Teaching exercise stuff.
Uh-huh.
What's your view on that?
I think that is partly due to the fact that the fitness professionals only see their product and their service as being quite one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if you only perceive what you do as one-dimensional, then the people that you're trying to attract will only see you as that as well. Mm. Again, this is something that I'm working with some fit pros. When you develop a package, a program, and a service that is a framework that shows people how you're going to get someone from point A to point B, then that gives them more higher perceived value. It's like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's a framework, and that's a framework where he drills down, how you are going to change your mindset, change your approach to life, increase your the chances of you being successful in life by following his framework. Even from a fitness point of view, where you had Les Mills, Zumba, these are all frameworks that lead people to achieve a certain objective. And I think if a fitness professional only delivers a class or only delivers a personal training session, I'm not saying there's no value to it, but then you're just a commodity. You're just comparing yourself with the other Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, Zumba instructor, the personal trainer. But if you have your own framework and your own package, then there's going to be a higher value associated with it. And then you've got more confidence explaining to people how you're going to get someone from point A to point B. Whereas at the moment, and I deliver the personal training course, so I know what's included in it. And there isn't a really clear structure to actually help fit pros learn that, so that's something that I've added into my program, because I do think it's that important.
Yeah, it is. And if you're just coming out of school and coming out of college and going into fitness, you've probably not had any experience of being able to put that together. A bit like you said in the beginning, when you went on your 2-week course, yes, you've got lots of knowledge, but to then suddenly go in front of 6 people or however many to be able to run a session, actually, that's a big difference.
Yeah, very much so.
You've got those steps, that framework, and that's partly why I put together my SHIP program. That's 4 steps. Mm-hmm. That people will go through, and it gives them that overall transformation, and we look at all aspects, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, very much so. And also as well, by doing that, whether it's 4 steps, 4 pillars, it's something that people can then hang their hat on, so they know where you're going with something. Whether it's not just a bunch of random concepts and teachings, it's part of a framework, and they can see how they're progressing along that framework. And I just think that's really, really important now, especially in this day of social media, when everyone's an expert. If someone looks a certain part and they take great photos with great filters, they're an Instagram expert. Whereas we need to show that no, there's more to the industry than that. And it kind of goes back to your previous question in terms of people see it as like one dimensional. Well, social media's kind of helped that, and we need to try and move beyond that by really educating people that there is just a multifaceted discipline.
Yeah, and going back to we talked about what fitness professionals need to be focusing on, but so what do you think the general public should be thinking about with regards to health, wellness, and where we are right now? What are the areas they should be?
I think really it's a good question. Look at how you responded to lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest look at the areas that you found the most challenging, and then ask yourself why you found that the most challenging. So if it was about being on your own, then what is it about being on your own that was challenging for you? And then maybe look to work on that, so that, if we are in another lockdown, which we possibly will be, that you can handle that situation better. If it was your the challenge of not moving as much because you were locked in, then what other ways of moving, exercising can you find that's going to help you giving that endorphin buzz? If it is coping with stress, then look at other methods of how you can cope with stress. So I read an autobiography years ago by Daley Thompson, the decathlete.
Great guy.
And one of the things he said, which has always stuck with me, is that the reason he was successful in his sport was that he made his weaknesses his strengths. And that's something that's always stuck with me. So, in the previous lockdown, a lot of people had a variety of different challenges, whether it's all of a sudden eating too much at night. For me, it was drinking far too much red wine. But I was able to reflect on that and think, right, okay, that was an issue. I'm going to address that right now. So I'd say look at the lockdown, see what you maybe you struggled with, and then search out for the answers for that element. That would kind of be my recommendation.
I love that. Make your weakness your strength. And actually, that's what you did. That's what you did, didn't you? And I suppose if I reflect now on what I did, that's exactly what I did too, because I've overcome the weakness of being scared to be seen, and
now look at you.
I make myself seen.
You're all over the gaff.
All over the place. All over the place. And I think you're right. It's about people becoming conscious, aren't they, of actually how they feel.
Yep.
And what they need, and asking those simple questions. How do I feel? What do I need?
Well, a lot of people were on that sort of hamster wheel. Wake up, go to work, come back. And the pandemic forced us to go, that ain't happening anymore. Okay, so how are you going to, and then you get conditioned. I mean, again, when we was at college, we learned about the Protestant work ethic, where we become conditioned that is how life is going to be. You go to school, get your qualifications, go to work, you work 9 to 5, you have your 4 weeks holiday a year, and that's how your life is until you retire. And again, pandemic has made people realize that it doesn't have to be like that. It really does not have to be like that. And you have the choice. We do have the choice. Some people have obviously got very prominent real life challenges in terms of financial that's been brought about by the pandemic. But putting that to one side, if we can, I would suggest, as I say, making weaknesses your strength. Look at what's happened and think, how can we? You do have a choice. You can either carry on as is.
Yep.
Which is that definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, or think, no, you know what? No, I'm going to try and change this. And as long as you try, no one can have a go at anyone that tries. You know what I mean? So, and there's so many resources around that can actually help people do that. that it's way more than when I started in the fitness industry 30 odd years ago. It was literally aerobics and step and weights in terms from a fitness point of view. There was no talk about mental health then. I mean, even when I was playing professional sports, there was nothing. We laughed at the idea of having sports psychologists or people that can actually talk about how the mind can affect performance. But now there's so many resources that that people really haven't got an excuse. There can be the danger of overwhelm, in as much that thinking, well, who's the right person to follow? And I think that's where you need to kind of follow your gut instinct, really. See who are the fitness personalities or the health personalities that you gravitate towards, and then see what they have to say. But the more informed you are, the wider the net that you cast, then the more you're able to formulate your own plan. And that's really the key, is that there's no one plan that fits everyone. Everyone is different. We're all different. So wherever, your solution for your health and well-being is going to be different to mine, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about, I've always said, and I know this is part of the metabolic as well, metabolic effect, is that, be a detective and find out what works.
Yeah.
I've never been somebody that wanted to tell all my clients that they had to do it that way. Like, no, if I tell you you've got to eat this much food, we are completely different. Each one of us we need to find out for ourselves what works.
100%. 100%.
So if people want to find out more about you, or where can they find you? What have you got going on right now that people can find out about?
So I am available on Facebook. That's probably the best way to find me. So my personal profile is facebook.com/Lincoln G Bryden. And my business page is Lincoln Bryden. So those are kind of like two avenues. I am on Instagram, but if I'm being honest, I don't really use it as I just know. Maybe it's my age, I don't know. And then from a fitness point of view, my website now is meptacademy.com, and that's where you'll find my sort of training courses and more about me. So I mean, those are but message me on Facebook. I'm happy to answer any sort of questions and queries you may have.
Excellent. Thank you, Lincoln. It's been really lovely to see you.
Nice.
Really to have you on Inspiring Talks Stories, our new episodes that we are recording for YouTube and Facebook. So I will see you all very soon, and I'll see you soon, Links.
I hope so. Thanks for the opportunity. I loved it.
You're welcome.